thousands of years, is now under increasing threat. The Jarawa people is said to be among the first to have migrated from Africa thousands of years ago.
Murder, cannibalism, ritual killings, and a prehistoric lifestyle that dates back thousands of years. These are the realities of the indigenous tribes. Enter the world of the Sentinelese, the Asmat, the Chimbu Tribe, and many others, as we uncover the secrets of Earth's last indigenous groups. How do they survive in the harsh conditions of the jungle? And why do they murder, dismember, and even feed on anyone who tries to contact them? Get ready for a wild adventure as we explore the lifestyle of the most dangerous tribes in the world. The Asmat Tribe, locked away in the heart of Papua in Indonesia, is the most famous cannibalistic tribe in the world, known for consuming the remains of their enemies and using their skulls as pillows. Meet the Asmat Tribe, a special isolated group of people living on small islands on the south side of the western part of New Guinea. This isn't just a small cluster of indigenous people, but a whole community occupying over 9,652 miles of land in the southwestern Irian Jaya area. According to estimates, there are at least over 65,000 people living here, all scattered in several villages each with a population of up to 2,000. For a very long time, the Asmat tribe were isolated from the rest of the world, and they had no contact with civilization. Whenever outsiders try to establish communications with the Asmat tribe, they're usually met with a violent attack, which often leads to fatality. The most haunting story to ever come out of this forbidden island is that of Michael Rockefeller, the son of the then New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Michael was 23 years old when he mysteriously disappeared on November 19, 1961. The young adventurer had embarked on a journey that took him 7 months, but in a cruel twist of fate, his boat got into treacherous waters, and before they could figure out how to escape, he and his Dutch companion were tossed into the ocean by the unforgiving winds. The details of how he eventually lost his life are sketchy, because while the official version states that he died by drowning, some theories suggest that he was most likely captured by the Asmat tribe, who captured him, brutally took his life, and then proceeded to consume his remains. However, the story has never been confirmed, although it has been retold many times, and it remains one of the most haunting tales from this tribe. But that's not where it ends. The Asmat people have also built up a reputation as headhunters. What this simply means is that whenever they go to war and conquer their enemies, they take their heads as trophies, strip it down to the bones, paint and decorate it in a special way, and then keep them as souvenirs of their many exploits. The skulls are also used as pillows, which is rooted in their belief that it helps them attain spiritual supremacy. This headhunting practice used to be a huge part of their culture, and even determined the social hierarchy of the community. Any warrior who had a stack of skulls was considered a respected member of the community, whether it be those of other tribesmen or criminals caught within their own clan. However, the members of the tribe have long abandoned their ancient traditions of cannibalism, as they now recognize how brutal such a practice can be. They've also opened themselves up to outside contacts in recent times, which has played a pivotal role in their development. But away from this bloody and darker side, the Asmat people also have a fascinating culture that has endured for generations. Their tradition is rooted in the belief that they emerged from wood. The Asmat people revere the trees of the forest. They've developed a level of craftsmanship that's simply astounding. They are widely known for the quality of their wood sculptures, and many of their artworks have been featured in art shows and museums around the world. Sentinelese Tribe. Known as the most famous uncontacted tribe in the world, the Sentinelese people who occupy the North Sentinel Island in India have captivated the world's attention for many years. The island they call home is small and located off the main shipping routes, but it's also protected by laws enforced by the Indian government to prevent anyone from interfering with their natural habitat. Members of this tribe have proven themselves capable of protecting their homes, as they have vehemently opposed any attempt by anyone to study their way of life. According to a census effort from 2011, and based on anthropological estimates, there are probably somewhere around 80 to 150 people living on the North Sentinel Island, although other sources believe there may be up to 500 people, or as low as 15. The Sentinelese have remained one of the least understood indigenous tribes on our planet. They've been isolated for so long that other Andaman groups like the Onge and Jarawa can't even understand their language. Thanks to a single successful contact in 1967, led by anthropologist T.N. Pandit, we know they live in lean-to huts with slanted roofs, many of which are built facing one another. They also build small, narrow outrigger canoes, which helps their fishing activities. They're also hunter-gatherers, who probably live on fruits and tubers grown on their island, eggs from turtles and seagulls, and small game like wild pigs and birds. The Sentinelese are always armed with bows and arrows, as well as spears and knives. While these weapons are usually reserved for hunting animals, these tribesmen would not hesitate to attack and even kill anyone who dared venture too close to their territory. Everyone who saw them disappeared without a trace, as they are the most dangerous tribe in the world. Their most recent incident was in 2008, when a 26-year-old missionary named John Chow embarked on a journey of no return to the island, with a mission to introduce the people to Christianity. Chow described the island as Satan's last stronghold, and even though he knew it was dangerous, he was willing to risk his own life to deliver the message. After being smuggled onto the island by a boat, Chow was brutally attacked and murdered by the tribesmen, who still remain extremely violent to outsiders. Initiating contact with this tribe is highly prohibited, and they continue to survive and thrive in their Stone Age communities, away from civilization and the technological advancement that has transformed our world. The Chimbu Tribe. There are quite a number of indigenous tribes around the world, with practices that would sound pretty weird to an outsider. One of such tribe is the Chimbu of Papua Bay Guinea, a community located in the Central Highlands. The origin of their name can be traced back to 1934, when Australian explorers first stumbled upon the tribesmen. Out of pleasant surprise, the tribesmen exclaimed the word Simbu in their local Kuman language, and the explorers simply latched onto that word to form a name. One practice that sets these tribes apart from others is their unique skeleton dance, a spectacular display you won't find anywhere else. Able-bodied men of the tribes cover themselves in black paint from head to toe before creating a whole outline that gives them the appearance of a skeleton. This fascinating practice is done with the intention of communicating with the dead, and as they engage in dances and rituals, these men have a supernatural experience that's hard to replicate. Traditionally, the Chimbu people don't live in villages, but in dispersed settlements. Their homes are usually oval and rectangular, with dirt floors, low thatched roofs, and walls woven from flattened reeds. Going by their ancient culture, the men in the tribe live together in large communal homes set on ridges for defensive purposes, while the women, children, and pigs live in separate houses. The Chimbu tribe displayed extreme violence towards outsiders and would even attack and kill anyone who tried to establish contact with them. But as more explorers traveled to the region, the people realized that these strangers brought them good gifts, so they lowered their guards. Prior to opening their doors to outsiders, the tribesmen were always at loggerheads with other communities, but since exposing themselves to outside influence, they've become relatively peaceful, except for a few scuffles every now and then. The Naga Tribe. The remote villages of Nagaland are a mountainous, mist-shrouded state sandwiched between the great river valleys of northwestern India and the thick jungles of western Myanmar. In this extremely dense region, you will find the Naga Tribe, also known as the last surviving headhunters. No one can really tell how the Naganese began killing men and taking their heads, but by the time the British stormed the island in the early 19th century, the practice was so ingrained in their culture that a man couldn't pick a wife for himself unless he owned at least one head. Not surprisingly, the communities that live here are constantly engaged in one bloody conflict or the other. And we're not talking about a small community, but a massive empire of between 16 to 20 tribes, totaling up to 3 million people. The practice of headhunting is backed by the local belief that by capturing a man's head, the fertility of the crops and the well-being of the community is guaranteed. So the killings are mostly done to keep the people healthy and prosperous. However, as soon as India gained independence, the practice was outlawed in the late 1940s, but the tribesmen soon returned to the brutal practice in 1990, following a major land dispute between two tribes. At some point in their history, some headhunters even wore these skulls as necklaces, pendants that showcased their strengths and brave spirit. The men also ink their bodies with extensive tattoos to flaunt their exploits. The more tattoos a warrior has, the more skulls he has claimed, earning him the respect of the community. Thankfully, the practice is now a thing of the past, and the people mostly live in peace and harmony. Although the Naganese people have opened their doors to outside influence, they still remain very protective of their ancient culture and practices, and will repel any means to transgress against their established traditions. The Yaifo Tribe. This tribe is known as the last indigenous people on Earth to have contact with the outside world. The home of the Yaifo people is located deep in the impenetrable jungles of East Sepik, in the central ranges of Papua New Guinea. There are no roads here, no basic amenities, no cars, no technology, and the people live alongside the crocodile-infested rivers like they have for centuries. Due to their remote location, very little is known about this unique set of people. However, thanks to the efforts of one man, The secrets of this ancient tribe were eventually brought to light. That man was Benedict Allen, an author and television presenter who risked his life to establish contact with the Yaifo people. Allen was 26 when he became the first outsider to set eyes on these people, and his experience was as horrifying as you can imagine. In his 1987 book titled Into the Crocodile's Nest, A Journey Inside New Guinea, Allen explained how he was initially welcomed with open arms, but things took a dark turn when he discovered he had to go through a grueling initiation process. For 6 weeks, the adventurer was beaten, force-fed, and slashed with bamboo blades. According to Allen, it was the harshest punishment on the planet, costing him 2 pints of blood and leaving him with scars that will never disappear. He returned from the adventure alive and well, and for many years the Yaifo people never left his mind. So in 2017, the now 57-year-old embarked on another journey with no mobile phone, no GPS device, and a message that read, "Do not find me." For weeks, the world held its breath as Allen seemed to disappear into the shadows of the forest. Thankfully, he was eventually found near an airstrip located 20 miles northwest of Porgera, in the Enga province. His brave adventures has brought the Yaifo people to public attention, and more effort is being put in place to understand their culture without contaminating their historical heritage. Mercy Tribe. For decades, the whole world has marveled at the Mercy women with their unique lips and beauty practices. But while these may look like a group of harmless men and women, the Mercy Tribe is one of the most dangerous indigenous groups in Ethiopia. The Mercy make their home in the southwestern region of Ethiopia, bordering Kenya and South Sudan. They are among the original inhabitants of the Omo Valley, which is recognized as the hotbed of Ethiopian culture. Mercy people are nomads, so they moved around quite a lot in search of pasture and water. As we delve into the culture and history of these tribes, we uncover a tale that intertwines with the very fabrics of time. The Mercy are particularly known for their consumption of blood. Yes, these tribesmen drain the blood of cows and goats, and then drink them as part of their diet. It's a practice that's both disturbing and incredibly macabre. But for the Mercy people, this practice defines who they are. They believe that by drinking blood, they gain more strength and stamina, and are able to defeat their enemies in battle. But that's not all. The Mercy people also believe in the spiritual nature of drinking blood, and it serves as part of their diet. They believe it gives them spiritual vitality, enhances their procreation, and helps maintain the total health of the community. Perhaps their bodies have adapted well to the blood consumption, so much so that they don't exhibit the usual side effects any other person would have after drinking blood. But that's not where the intrigue ends. The Mercy women wear a distinctive lip plate as a fashion statement, and the whole world has been obsessed with them since we found out. These stretched lips signal eligibility for marriage, as well as the ability to bear children. The process of fixing the lip plate is a long and painful journey. The older a lady gets, the bigger the plate that would be installed in her mouth. While it may look bizarre to the outsiders, the practice is ingrained in the culture of the Mercy people, and they hold it very close to their hearts. They've also been quite hostile to outsiders in the past, but in recent times, they've opened their doors to the rest of the world. Now it's time for our subscribers' pick. Feast your eyes on this disturbing image of an uncontacted tribe in the middle of nowhere. Everyone who saw them disappeared without a trace. Most dangerous tribes in the world. But who are they? And why are they so dangerous? As we ponder on this strange photograph, this question hangs in the air, unanswered. Unfortunately, this is the only surviving photograph taken of the ancient tribes, and none of the people who saw them lived to tell the tales. Therefore, the secrets of this unknown tribe may remain lost until the very passage of time. But why find people who don't want to be found? Share your thoughts about this and other fascinating tribes with us in the comments down below. Now let's get back to more haunting stories. Khazak Nomads. Have you ever heard of a tribe that hunts with eagles? Meet the Khazak Nomads, a unique group of people who inhabit the vast expanse of Mongolia, where the rugged terrain meets the boundless blue skies, creating a stunning spectacle. But the captivating landscape aside, the people who live here are quite interesting. For centuries, the Khazak people have engaged in the act of falconry, which involves the use of an eagle as a hunting weapon. As crazy as this may sound, it's been an integral part of their culture for centuries. The eagle and its catcher form a bond that's really hard to break, and as they head to the hunting ground, the symphony in their operation is always endearing. The training process involves getting the eagle to respond to certain commands, sighting prey, and also teaching them to return to the hunter with their catch. However, as the falcons grow older and enter their breeding years, it becomes essential that they be returned to the wild so as not to tamper with their natural order. Therefore, most eagles only stay with their humans for 6 to 7 years, after which they are freed to continue the breeding process. But urbanization, changing societal dynamics, and the constant pressure from the modern world have almost rendered this practice obsolete. Thankfully, there are still a few Kazakhs out there who have dedicated their lives to keeping this tradition alive. Quero Tribe. The Korowai people live in a remote part of Papua, with a population of about 3,000 people. This isolated tribe were first contacted in the 1970s when a Dutch Reformed church missionary named Johannes Veldhuizen accidentally stumbled upon them in the woods. Since then, we've been able to carefully study their way of life, religious practices, and ancient culture. From what we know, the Korowai people live in tree houses called rumah tinggi. Some of these houses can be quite tall, reaching heights of up to 160 feet above the ground. They live in such a unique way that they've become one with the forest itself. These ancient inhabitants of the earth continue to maintain a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, and the survival skills they've developed over years of evolution help them survive the harsh jungle. But what makes this tribe more famous is their unfettered violence. Conflicts between groups are not uncommon, and they can arise from a wide variety of causes, from adultery to theft or even murder. This often leads to serious bloodshed, but that's not even the strangest part. In retaliation for attacks or as punishment for any criminal caught, such a person is killed, and his body parts are distributed between the community for consumption. Back in 2006, a television show recorded the murder of a member of the Korowai community, who was punished for being a witch. He was tortured, killed, and then eaten without remorse. The Korowai are also very vengeful, and they will retaliate against any attack, most especially if any clan member loses their life during the invasion. The Baja Tribe. From a tribe with peculiar hunting traditions to another group of people who live their entire lives on water, meet the Baja Tribe, one of the strangest uncontacted tribes you've ever seen. The group hails from Borneo and are often considered sea gypsies. This is because they make their homes on small boats and spend the most of their lives at sea. The lives of the Baja people revolve around the ocean, and they worship the waters like a goddess. From a very young age, children are immersed into the water and taught to swim. The children always grow up to be excellent swimmers and divers who possess the remarkable ability to stay underwater at depths of 20 meters without drowning. Their bodies have evolved so well that they've developed slightly flatter legs to aid their swimming, and they're able to see better in the water than an average person. Despite their abhorrence for civilization, the Baja people are relatively peaceful, hospitable, and cheerful. Sadly, a significant number of them are uneducated and impoverished, and they have to depend on their aquatic nomadic lifestyle to survive. The Mashco Tribe. For centuries, members of the Mashco Tribe of the Amazon have remained untouched by the influences of the world beyond their borders, but in recent times, the tribesmen themselves have reached out to the outside world. The conditions in the region have become so dire that the Peruvian government had to intervene and extend a hand of help to the tribespeople. The Mashco tribesmen have also launched deadly raids against other villagers, and on one occasion in 2012, they brutally murdered 2 villagers and carted away their machetes and goods. Only about 30 of these tribesmen remain in the Manu National Park, a remote forested area bordering the Madre de Dios River. Although Peruvian policy strictly prohibits any contact with the tribe, this has proven to be increasingly difficult. At least 100 sightings of the tribespeople have been reported since 2014, and they've also been known to approach strangers asking for food and clothing. They sometimes line up at the beaches, waiting for the boats to pass. They mostly seek bananas, cassava, sugarcane, machetes, and pots to cook their foods. As discussions swirled around whether or not such a contact should be established, one major concern filled the minds of everyone. You see, by establishing contact with a tribe that has limited access to the outside world carries a great risk of transmitting infections and harmful illnesses. If such a process isn't well managed, the entire tribe could be wiped out by a breakout of flu or malaria or other related diseases. Today, the Mashco Tribe remains very protective of their culture and heritage, and sometimes they can be quite hostile to outsiders. Quero Tribe. The Incan civilization is one of the most advanced ancient civilizations to ever exist on our planet, and the scale of their society is often compared to empires like ancient Egypt. While these societies have all but disappeared over the years, the last link to their bloodline still lives on those lands, and they're known as the Quero Tribe. As the last Incan people, the Queros are the largest of the Quechua-speaking population, and their history is quite fascinating. Their home sits on the central west coast of South America, and it encompasses a wide variety of biotopes and climates in mountainous deserts and coastal regions. The Queros are relatively non-aggressive and quite peaceful, and they grow their own potatoes. They also keep alpacas and are known for their incredible weaving skills. The remote village sits at 14,500 feet, and there they continue to preserve their ethnic identity. They currently live in primitive stone houses with no access to proper healthcare, basic amenities, and the rigors brought about by civilization. The Quero people are also noted for their deep spirituality. Members of the tribe that practice healing and religion are known as Pacos. These shamans claim to be capable of healing both external injuries and wounds of the soul. the quero traditionalists claim to draw their energy from nature itself, and this practice has endured for generations, becoming an ingrained part of their culture and history. Waorani Tribe. Before tragedy struck the Waorani tribe, they previously maintained one of the largest territories of all the indigenous Amazonians in Ecuador, within the modern provinces of Orellana, Napo, and Pastaza. This unique tribe traditionally lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers who lived in small clan settlements. Before they had their first contact with the outside world in 1958, the Waorani were completely isolated, so naturally they resisted the first attempts to reach out to them. But over time, the tribesmen gradually warmed up to the missionaries, and some of them were even relocated to other tribes to aid their religious journey. Since then, they've experienced a gradual integration into modern society, but that has also brought so many disadvantages that currently threatens their existence. You see, thanks to this modern integration, the natural habitat of the Waorani people have been infringed upon, and their territories have been reduced by a lot. Logging, oil extraction, and colonist settlement are among some of the major drivers of this decline. Although the Waorani people currently live in the government-protected Yasuni National Park, the influence of these modern activities managed to reach them, with the oil contaminating their water sources, as excessive logging also keeps threatening their continued existence. The most shocking part of it all is that even the government of Ecuador has dipped their hands in this cookie jar, drilling for oil in the same Yasuni Park they initially designated for the Waorani. Thankfully, many non-governmental and international agencies have been listening to the plight of this great ancient tribe that has been reduced to just 2,000 members. But how long will they survive when their home is constantly under threats from outsiders? As we navigate this delicate situation, there is one question that remains unanswered. Who should own the legal rights on ancestral lands? The indigenous people who have been here for thousands of years, or the oil companies and loggers who obtain legal passes to conduct business activities in the region? Should our quest for economic prosperity overshadow our responsibility to keep indigenous tribes safe? Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.